There exists within each of us a flame, a quiet spark that once burned bright with purpose and desire. But over time, as life's demands weigh upon our shoulders, we let it fade, believing that duty and obligation are our only true companions. We tell ourselves that there will be time later, that our passions are but distractions from the serious work of the world. Yet, in doing so, we deny the essence of who we are. To neglect one's passion is to rob oneself of a life fully lived. It is not the hardships of the world that defeat us, but the betrayal of our own soul. It is time to face the truth. To neglect what stirs our heart is to slowly wither away. Reignite your passions, reclaim your essence, for in that pursuit you will find your true strength. The silent death of unfollowed dreams. In the quiet corners of your mind there rests a dream once vivid, once powerful, that now lies dormant, forgotten by time. It is easy to dismiss it, to think of it as a mere passing fancy, something to be left behind as we move forward in life. But what we fail to understand is that to neglect these dreams is not simply to ignore a fleeting thought. It is to let something deep within us die. Consider this. The seed of a dream, when first planted, holds within it the promise of growth. It seeks the sunlight of your effort, the nourishment of your passion, and the patience of time. Yet, when we turn away from it, we deny it the very elements that give it life. The dream doesn't just remain stagnant, it withers silently as we continue our journey without ever knowing the cost of its death. Our world is filled with distractions. We are pulled in countless directions by the demands of life, work, family, responsibilities. But in the process we become so consumed by the urgent that we forget the important. The things that once filled us with joy, that once made us feel alive, are slowly replaced by the cold, mechanical motions of survival. We no longer dare to dream. Instead, we resign ourselves to the monotony of mere existence. But here is the truth. Life does not consist of merely going through the motions. To live without passion, without pursuit, is akin to existing in a state of spiritual death. Your dreams are not trivial things. They are the pulse of your soul, the very essence of what makes you unique. When you abandon them, you abandon yourself. You may wonder, why pursue these dreams now? Why reignite that which I have long neglected? The answer is simple yet profound. Because your soul yearns for it. It is the nature of your spirit to seek fulfillment, to seek growth, to seek something greater than the ordinary. When we neglect our passions, we starve our soul. We become hollow, no longer driven by purpose, but merely carried by the current of life. The death of an unfollowed dream is not a sudden event. It is gradual. It begins with a small choice to ignore that spark, to tell yourself that there is no time, no need, no room for it in your life. And then it continues day by day as you choose other things over your true calling. Over time, the dream fades into the background, a ghost of what it could have been, and with it, so too does your sense of vitality, your sense of self. Do not wait for a dramatic moment of revelation to remind you of the passion you have neglected. Do not wait until it is too late to revive it. The time to act is now. For in every moment you deny your passions, you deny your true purpose. You are not meant to simply exist. You are meant to thrive, to grow, to create. And it is through your passions that you will find the strength to do so. Remember this. The greatest tragedy is not the unfulfilled dream, but the soul that never dared to chase it. Let that never be your fate. It is time to breathe life back into your passions, to revive the spark that lies dormant within you, for only then will you truly live. A life divided, the struggle between duty and passion. In the hustle of daily life, there comes a moment when we stand at the crossroads, torn between the weight of our obligations and the pull of our deepest desires. The world calls us to fulfill its demands, the relentless pressure to provide, to conform, to succeed by society's measures. We become so consumed by the tasks at hand that we convince ourselves that there is no time, no place for what stirs our heart. Perhaps later we tell ourselves, once everything else is in order. But in this lies a dangerous lie. A lie that promises fulfillment through obligation, while stealing from us the very thing that gives life its meaning. Duty, as important as it is, can never be the sole purpose of our existence. To live only in service to external expectations, to continually suppress the voice within that calls us toward our passion, is to divide ourselves, to live at war with our true nature. We have convinced ourselves that passion is a luxury, something to be pursued only once the essential tasks of survival are completed. But what if survival itself is hollow without the pursuit of what makes us whole? What if in seeking only the demands of the external world, we are neglecting the very essence of what makes us human? This internal struggle, the battle between duty and passion, often feels like an insurmountable force, a war within ourselves. We are taught to prioritize the practical, the necessary, and to view passion as a fleeting distraction, an indulgence of the mind. Yet history has shown us that those who have dared to chase their passion are not the ones who falter, but the ones who soar. It is the pursuit of what sets our soul alight that brings meaning to even the most mundane tasks. For in the pursuit of passion, we discover purpose, and through purpose we find the strength to face the challenges of duty. Do not misunderstand. Duties are not to be discarded. The responsibilities we carry are important. But when we make them the sole focus of our lives, we become trapped in a cycle of sacrifice that chips away at our spirit. We are not meant to be automatons, endlessly fulfilling the demands of the world at the expense of our own joy. A life fully lived is one where duty and passion coexist, where we honor our obligations, but also dare to nurture the dreams that stir our soul. The question, then, is not whether we should abandon duty for passion, but how we can harmonize the two. It is a delicate balance, one that requires us to be intentional about the time and energy we devote to what is truly meaningful. It is in the quiet moments, in the spaces between responsibilities, that we must allow ourselves to reconnect with our passion, to steal moments from the chaos and give them freely to our deepest desires. In doing so, we do not neglect our duties. Rather, we enrich them with the vitality and purpose that only passion can bring. We must ask ourselves, if we were to look back on our lives, what would we regret more? The work left undone, or the passions left unpursued? It is not the tasks we complete that give our lives meaning, but the pursuit of what we truly care about. To live without passion is to exist without soul, and while duty will always call, it is passion that will give us the strength to answer. So let us not live a life divided. Let us not be content to follow the narrow path of obligation without ever stepping onto the expansive road of our deepest desires. For in embracing both, we do not become overwhelmed, we become whole, ignoring your passion, the hidden cost. We often think of the consequences of our actions as visible, tangible things, the missed opportunities, the lost time, the unfulfilled promises. Yet there is a cost that runs deeper, a price that we cannot see but can most certainly feel, the slow erosion of our spirit. Ignoring your passion is not a mere act of procrastination. It is an act of self-neglect, a quiet abandonment of the very essence that gives life its depth. What happens when we choose to ignore the call of our soul, to put aside what stirs us in favor of the endless grind of external demands? At first, the cost seems minimal. A few days, a few weeks, maybe even a few years, spent prioritizing what the world deems important. After all, we are taught that success is measured by achievement and external approval, not by the inner fire that fuels our desires. We think, "I'll get to it eventually. There's no rush. It's just a hobby. It's just a passion." But in truth, there is no just when it comes to the things that make us feel alive. The longer we ignore our passion, the more it recedes into the shadows of our mind, slowly buried beneath the weight of our responsibilities and fears. It's as if we are suffocating it, snuffing out the light with each passing day, and as we do, something inside of us begins to wither. We lose touch with the part of ourselves that dreams, that creates, that strives toward something greater than the mundane tasks of survival. We become disconnected from our true self, moving through life as if in a fog, no longer feeling the joy or the fire that once defined us. This is the hidden cost of neglecting your passion, the slow decay of your sense of purpose. It is not simply about what you are missing out on in the external world, but about what you are losing within yourself. You might be achieving everything the world tells you to achieve, but if you do not cultivate what ignites your soul, you are walking through life with You may earn accolades, gain promotions, or achieve outward success, but it is all meaningless if you are not nourishing the very thing that makes you feel alive. Without passion, you exist, but do not truly live. Furthermore, the longer we postpone the pursuit of our passion, the more we feed the lie that it doesn't matter, that it's unimportant, that we don't deserve it, or that it's too late to begin. These lies grow stronger over time, weaving themselves into the fabric of our thinking until we believe them as truths. We tell ourselves that we don't have time, that we are too old, too tired, too busy. But in reality, the cost is not in time lost. It is in the life lost to these excuses. We have all been given the same hours in a day, the same 24, and the only thing that determines how we spend them is our willingness to act. The longer we wait to follow our passions, the harder it becomes to rekindle that spark. It's as though we are learning to breathe again after years of holding our breath, but the longer we hold back, the more painful the reawakening becomes. And yet, no matter how long you have spent ignoring your passion, it is never too late to begin again. Your soul is patient. It will wait for you, not with resentment, but with open arms, ready to welcome you back the moment you decide to return to it. It is easy to rationalize why we should wait. The time will come when the circumstances are right, when life settles down, when we have more money, more time, more of everything we think we need. But waiting for the perfect time is the greatest form of self-deception. The perfect time will never come. The perfect moment does not exist in the future, only in the present. To wait is to continue sacrificing yourself for an illusion, to trade your soul's hunger for empty promises. The hidden cost of ignoring your passion is this: you become a shadow of yourself, you become disconnected from the joy and fulfillment that comes from living in alignment with your true desires. Your passion is not a fleeting whim. It is the lifeblood of your being. To ignore it is to sever yourself from the very thing that makes you feel alive. The time to act is now, not when circumstances align, but when you decide to honor the call of your own soul. Do not wait any longer. The cost of ignoring your passion is too great, and you are worth more than that. Reconnecting with the heart of your purpose. At some point, every one of us experiences the disorienting feeling of being lost. We move through life, ticking off tasks, meeting expectations, but something deep within us feels absent. We wonder where the spark went, where the joy that once propelled us forward has vanished. In these moments of confusion, it is not the world that has changed, but our disconnection from the very thing that gave us direction. Our purpose. Purpose is not something that can be handed to you. It is not found in the titles we wear or the approval of others. It is something that must be sought from within, a deep recognition of what makes you feel alive, what fills you with meaning. Over time, however, it is easy to become distracted, to lose sight of it as we navigate the pressures and demands of life. We become so focused on doing, on meeting the expectations of the world, that we forget to ask the most important question: what is it that I truly want to contribute? What is the reason I am here? Reconnecting with your purpose is not an act of discovery, but an act of remembrance. The truth is that your purpose has always been with you. It may have been buried under the layers of daily life, obscured by the noise of the world, but it is still there. Your passions, the things that bring you joy and fulfillment, are the key to rediscovering it. Your purpose is intimately tied to what stirs your soul, what makes you feel connected to something greater than yourself. But the road to reconnecting with this heart of purpose is not always easy. It requires introspection, honesty, and the courage to strip away the distractions that have clouded your vision. It means questioning everything you thought you knew, confronting the fears and insecurities that have kept you from pursuing what matters most. You must be willing to face the uncomfortable truth that the only thing standing between you and your purpose is you. The excuses, the doubts, the external pressures. These are the things that have held you back, but they are not stronger than your desire to live a life of meaning. To reconnect with your purpose is to give yourself permission to dream again. It is to look beyond the immediate responsibilities and acknowledge the long-forgotten desires that once filled you with energy and excitement. It is to choose to embrace what you love, what moves you, and to see it as more than just a luxury or an afterthought. It is the recognition that your passions are not frivolous. They are the foundation of your existence. But why does it matter? Why should we prioritize our purpose when life constantly calls us to focus on survival, on doing what is expected of us? The answer lies in the very nature of human fulfillment. A life lived without purpose is a life spent wandering, without direction or meaning. We are not here to simply exist, to follow the motions of the world. We are here to create, to grow, to contribute something that only we can offer. And that contribution, the expression of our unique passions, is what gives us the strength to endure life's hardships. Reconnecting with your purpose is not an abstract philosophical exercise. It is a practical, powerful choice to live intentionally, to make space in your life for what matters most. It requires discipline, but it also requires grace. There will be moments of doubt, moments when it feels easier to ignore the call, to fall back into the comfort of routine, but you must resist. Each time you choose to return to your purpose, you strengthen the connection to your truest self. In this moment, ask yourself, what is it that makes you feel alive? What is the thing that when you do it, time disappears and the world feels right? That is the heart of your purpose. Reconnect with it, even in small ways, and let it guide you. The journey may not always be easy, but it will be worth every step. For in rediscovering your purpose, you rediscover yourself, the person you were always meant to be. The illusion of time. Why waiting never works. We are all guilty of the same procrastination, the same illusion we tell ourselves, I'll start tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes the great promise, the day when we will finally take action, when life will be perfect, when everything will fall into place. But here's the truth, tomorrow never comes. The moment we're waiting for is always out of reach, just beyond the horizon, constantly shifting as time moves forward. We live in the myth that there will be a perfect time to act, but the reality is, the perfect time is always now. Time, like all things in life, is fleeting. The clock is constantly ticking, and the moment we have today is the only one we can truly control. We spend so much of our lives waiting for the right moment, when we have more time, more money, more energy, more of whatever we think we need to begin. But this waiting, this perpetual deferral, is nothing more than a defense mechanism against the fear of failure, of not being ready, of not being good enough. And in the process, we waste the only resource we truly have, the present moment. The illusion of time is powerful, and it disguises itself in many forms. We convince ourselves that once we achieve a certain goal, or reach a certain point in life, then we'll be able to focus on our passion. Once the kids are older, once the work project is complete, once the debt is paid off, only then will we be able to truly live. But the truth is, life does not slow down for our convenience. The world will not stop to wait for us to be ready. Life moves at its own pace, and all we can do is decide how we will engage with it. Every moment you wait, you lose something, not just time, but a piece of yourself. You lose the opportunity to create, to grow, to live in alignment with what truly matters to you. It is easy to think that the delay won't matter, that you can always pick up where you left off. But the longer you wait, the further you drift from the person you are meant to be. The distance between who you are now and who you could be grows wider with each moment of inaction. The gap between your current self and your potential self is measured not in days or months, but in the small choices you make every single day. The reality is that waiting never works. It is a form of self-deception, a lie we tell ourselves to avoid the discomfort of starting. We convince ourselves that tomorrow will bring the courage or the circumstances we need. But tomorrow is simply another today, and today is all you have. The road to fulfilling your passion, to reigniting your purpose, begins with one small, imperfect step in the present. There is no perfect moment, no magical sign from the universe. There is only now. Do not wait for the stars to align, for the world to stop turning, or for the perfect conditions to arrive. The world will never give you that permission. You must take it. You must act, not because everything is perfect, but because you are willing to begin, even in imperfection. Each moment you choose to wait, you choose to let your dreams slip further away. Each moment you choose to act, you move closer to becoming the person you were always meant to be. It is said that the greatest regret is not the things we did, but the things we didn't do. The opportunities we didn't take, the passions we didn't pursue, the dreams we didn't chase. Life is too short to wait for the perfect time, because the perfect time does not exist. What exists is this moment. What exists is now, and the only thing that stands between you and your purpose is the choice to start. So stop waiting and begin. The only time that truly matters is the time you are given today. The courage to start, overcoming the fear of imperfection. At the beginning of any journey, there lies a great challenge, one that is far more daunting than any external obstacle. It is the fear of imperfection, the fear that what we create, what we offer to the world, will not be good enough. We fear failure, rejection, ridicule, and the crushing weight of inadequacy. And so, we hesitate. We wait for the moment when we feel ready, when we are certain that what we create will be flawless, when our passion will be pure, untouched by doubt or fear. But the truth is, perfection is an illusion, and waiting for it is a trap. When we first begin, everything feels awkward, clumsy, uncertain. Our work is messy, our steps unsure. The voices in our heads whisper that we are not capable, that our dreams are too big, too bold. And so we stop before we even start, afraid that our efforts will never live up to the idealized version in our mind. But what we fail to recognize is that perfection is not the goal. Progress is. The courage to start is the courage to accept imperfection. It is the willingness to move forward despite the uncertainty, to create without the guarantee of success, to take action even when we feel unprepared. This is where true growth lies, not in waiting for the perfect conditions, but in embracing the process, in trusting that each step, no matter how flawed, brings us closer to where we need to be. Understand this. The fear of imperfection is not a sign of weakness. It is a sign of being human. We all feel it. Even the greatest creators, the most accomplished individuals, experience self-doubt, fear, and uncertainty. But what sets them apart is their decision to act anyway. They do not wait for perfection. They step into the unknown, not because they know they will succeed, but because they are willing to fail. And in doing so, they learn, they grow, and they improve. The key is to give yourself permission to be imperfect, to recognize that starting, even in the midst of fear, is the most important part of the journey. Your first attempt may not be perfect. In fact, it will likely be far from it. But that is where the magic lies. Each mistake, each setback is a lesson. Each flaw is an opportunity for growth. And each moment of vulnerability strengthens your resolve to continue. The courage to start is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to move forward despite it. Remember that every masterpiece began as a rough sketch. Every great journey started with a single uncertain step. You cannot wait for perfection, because it will never come. You must be willing to take the leap, to face the discomfort, and to embrace the process. For in the act of starting, you are already succeeding. You are already growing. The fear of imperfection will always be there, but it is no match for the power of courage and persistence. So, ask yourself, what is it that you are holding back because of fear? What is it that you have been waiting for the perfect moment to begin? There will never be a time when you feel completely ready. There will never be a moment when everything is perfectly aligned. But that is not a reason to wait. It is a reason to start. Embrace your imperfections, for they are the raw material from which greatness is made. The courage to start, to take that first step despite the fear, is the only thing standing between you and the life you have always dreamed of. Breaking the chains of perfectionism, the power of progress over perfection. Perfectionism is a subtle prison. It often starts as a noble desire to do things well, to meet high standards, to create something of value. But over time, it morphs into a cruel taskmaster that demands more and more, pushing us to the point where nothing we do ever feels quite good enough. We convince ourselves that our work must be flawless, that every step must be executed perfectly, and that anything less is failure. But in reality, perfectionism paralyzes us. It strips us of the freedom to create, to experiment, to make mistakes. And in the end, it leaves us stuck in an endless loop of self-criticism and inaction. The quest for perfection is not only exhausting, but also fundamentally unproductive. We waste time refining something that is already good enough, rather than moving forward, trying new ideas and growing. The fear of imperfection keeps us from showing up fully, keeps us from engaging in the process of creation. We want to present only the best, but in doing so, we often neglect the beauty that exists in the imperfect, in the unfinished, in the rawness of the journey itself. Perfectionism makes us forget that the process is just as important, if not more so, than the end result. It's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that the final product is the only thing that matters, that it must meet some arbitrary standard before it can be shared with the world. But the reality is that every accomplishment, every success is built on a foundation of imperfect attempts. Every great artist, scientist, or leader faced failure and imperfection along the way. The difference was that they didn't let perfectionism hold them back. They focused on progress, not perfection. This is the shift we must make, moving from the obsession with getting everything right to the commitment to making progress, to taking small steps forward, no matter how flawed they may seem. Progress is the only true measure of success. It is the act of showing up every day, taking imperfect action, and learning as we go. Each time we take action, even if it doesn't lead to the outcome we expect, we move closer to our goal. We refine our skills, we sharpen our minds, and we build the resilience needed to succeed. Perfectionism thrives on fear. It feeds on the idea that failure is to be avoided at all costs, that any misstep is a sign of incompetence. But in truth, failure is not the enemy, it is a teacher. It is through failure that we learn, grow, and ultimately become the best versions of ourselves. The perfectionist mind says, if I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. But the mindset of growth says, I'll try and I'll learn, and that's enough. Embracing progress over perfection requires us to give ourselves permission to be imperfect, to step outside of the constraints we've placed on ourselves. It means acknowledging that the path to success is not linear and that setbacks are simply part of the process. The more we embrace this idea, the more we allow ourselves to take risks, to experiment, and to truly express ourselves in ways that perfectionism would otherwise stifle. So, what would happen if we let go of the need for perfection? What if we allowed ourselves to simply show up, to create, to take action without worrying about the outcome? What if we chose to focus on progress, on the daily steps that get us closer to our goals, instead of obsessing over whether each step is flawless? The answer is simple. We would be free. Free to create, free to live, free to fail, and free to grow. In this journey, remember that perfection is not the goal, progress is. Let go of the chains of perfectionism and allow yourself the freedom to fail, to learn, and to grow. For it is in the act of progress that true fulfillment is found. And it is through progress that we ultimately reach the life we desire. Embracing the struggle, the hidden strength in adversity. In our modern world, we are conditioned to seek comfort, to avoid difficulty at all costs. We believe that a life free from hardship is the ideal, that our greatest happiness will come from smooth paths and effortless success. But this view, while comforting, is far from the truth. For it is not in the absence of struggle that we find strength, but in the very heart of adversity. The greatest growth, the most profound wisdom, and the deepest fulfillment come not when life is easy, but when we are tested, when we face challenges that force us to stretch beyond our limits. The struggle is not something to be avoided, it is something to be embraced. It is in the struggle that we discover what we are truly capable of. It is in the struggle that we develop resilience, that we learn to rise after every fall, to persist despite the odds, and to find within ourselves a strength we never knew existed. The path to greatness is not paved with ease, but with hardship. And it is through embracing this reality that we unlock our full potential. To understand this, we must first shift our perspective. Struggle is not a sign of failure, it is a necessary part of the process. It is the forge in which we are shaped, the pressure that transforms coal into diamonds. Every time we face a difficulty, we are given an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to evolve. The obstacles in our lives are not there to punish us, but to prepare us. They are the stepping stones that lead us to the person we are meant to become. But embracing the struggle requires courage. It requires the courage to face discomfort, to step into the unknown, and to confront the fear of failure. It means accepting that success is not a straight line, that setbacks and challenges are an inevitable part of the journey. But the moment we stop resisting the struggle, we stop fighting against the very thing that will make us stronger. When we allow ourselves to feel the discomfort, to experience the struggle, we are no longer victims of our circumstances. We are active participants in our own transformation. It is in the moments of hardship that we learn the most about ourselves. We learn what we are truly passionate about, what we are willing to fight for, and what we are capable of overcoming. These experiences do not break us, they build us. They reveal our true character, showing us the depths of our resilience and our capacity to endure. Without struggle, we would never discover the strength within us. It is the tension, the adversity, that pushes us to reach higher, to dig deeper, and to continue moving forward, no matter how difficult the road may seem. In the face of struggle, we must remember that we are not alone. Every person who has achieved anything meaningful in life has faced their own battles. They too have felt the weight of adversity and the sting of failure. The difference is that they chose to keep going. They chose to embrace the struggle, to see it as an opportunity for growth rather than a burden to be avoided. And in doing so, they emerged stronger, wiser, and more resilient. So, when the struggle comes, and it will, do not retreat. Do not shy away from the discomfort. Instead, lean into it. Welcome it as a teacher, as a guide that is leading you to the next level of your journey. It is in the struggle that we grow, and it is through growth that we find our greatest strength. The path to greatness is not free from obstacles, but it is in overcoming those obstacles that we discover who we are meant to be. The struggle is not the enemy, it is the ally that will carry you forward. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it shape you into the person who can achieve the life you've always dreamed of. For in the end, It is not the absence of struggle that brings fulfillment. It is the strength we gain from facing it head-on. The power of consistency. Small actions lead to big results. In a world where instant gratification is often the goal, it is easy to overlook the quiet power of consistency. We are bombarded with messages that tell us that success comes quickly, that results should be immediate, and that we should expect fast rewards for our efforts. But the truth, though uncomfortable, is that lasting success is not built on momentary bursts of action, but on the slow and steady process of consistency. It is in the small, everyday actions that we create the foundation for extraordinary results. The power of consistency lies in its ability to compound over time. Just as a small stream over years can carve a path through solid rock, small daily actions can create profound change in our lives. It is easy to dismiss the importance of what seems like insignificant steps: sending that email, writing a paragraph, practicing for 15 minutes. But these small actions, repeated day after day, form the groundwork of the person you are becoming. They are the building blocks of your future, and they carry with them an undeniable momentum that eventually leads to great accomplishments. Many of us expect grand transformations to happen overnight. We want to wake up and find ourselves at the finish line, with everything we've dreamed of already achieved. But the path to success is not a sprint, it is a marathon. And in that marathon, it is not the occasional burst of speed that wins the race, but the quiet, determined pace that endures over time. It is the ability to keep moving forward, even when the progress seems small, when the results seem far away, and when doubt begins to creep in. Consistency is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. It is easy to start something, but it is far more difficult to continue when the initial excitement fades and the work becomes mundane. It is in those moments, when the passion wanes and the challenge feels daunting, that consistency becomes crucial. It is the choice to show up, to do the work, even when you don't feel like it, that creates the difference. Every small action, every day you choose to continue, strengthens your resolve and propels you closer to your goals. Understand that it is not perfection that matters, but persistence. There will be days when you don't feel inspired, days when you doubt the worth of your efforts, but it is in those moments that consistency is most important. The world is not moved by grand gestures alone, but by the quiet determination of those who do the work, even when it's hard, even when it feels like no one is watching. In the long run, it is the sum of these small actions, these steady efforts, that create lasting change. Consistency also requires patience, the ability to trust that the results will come even if they are not immediate. In our fast-paced world, patience is often seen as a weakness, as though waiting is somehow a failure to act. But patience is not the absence of action, it is the ability to continue taking action without needing instant validation. It is trusting in the process, in the belief that every small step is a part of a much larger journey. Without patience, we abandon our efforts too soon, never giving them the time to grow and evolve. But with patience and consistency, we plant the seeds of greatness that will eventually bear fruit. The power of consistency is quiet, but it is undeniable. It may not grab attention or produce immediate results, but over time, it builds something far more valuable: character. It transforms us from those who dream of success into those who create it. It turns small, seemingly insignificant efforts into a powerful force that shapes the course of our lives.